the jinn. Many ask about them. Many confuse them with the angels. Are they our friends, or are they our enemies? Do we supplicate to them, or should we avoid them? Is it true that they can possess us? Is it true that they can harm us? Do they come around us? And if so, where do they live? What environments attract them? What environments can we find them in? What are they made of? Are they similar in appearance to the angels? Or more so, are they similar in appearance to us? Join Ustada Laila Nasheeba as she takes us on a journey into the world of the Jinn. Join us every day, Friday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of the Jinn. Okay. Set my computer so I can see better too. Now, sometimes Iblis, he does not approach us and our personal jinn. Sometimes he does not approach us by whispering to our souls. Instead, your personal jinn may appear to you as a human being. His voice can be heard, but his body may not be seen. You may hear people say that they hear voices. When you hear people tell you that they heard a voice or that they hear voices, that's their personal jinn talking to them. So you may hear your personal jinn speaking to you, but you don't see him. Or, because remember, none of us can see a jinn in its original shape, its original form. Or, if you're really a person that your jinn feels that he can, because you're weak in your faith, if you're really weak in your iman, your practice of this religion, and your jinn feels that he can really get you, he may take on a strange form. He may appear before you as another human being, and he may tell you that he's a jinn. Or he may appear before you as a different form and tell you he's an angel. Or he may appear to you as a human being and tell you he's the Prophet Muhammad himself. You may know people who've told you that. Oh, they may say, oh, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to see me. The Queen of England came to see me. How many of you know people who've told you that? Oh, I just saw Duke Ellington. I just saw the Queen of England. I just saw the President of the United States. Obama came to visit me. That could have been a jinn. That could have been their personal jinn taking on a form, okay, coming to them. And sometimes they may call themselves invisible men or invisible women. And other times they may just tell you that they're from the spirit world. I'm just here, I'm talking to you. You may say, who is this? Who is this voice I'm hearing? And they may tell you, I'm just a voice from the spirit world. Or I'm just the Queen of England. I'm just they may even tell you I'm God himself talking to you. I'm Allah himself. I'm the Prophet Muhammad himself. Okay, they'll speak directly to you sometimes. Or they may speak to you through a medium, through a psychic person. Or They can even speak to you in different languages. You know, your personal jinn can play those type of games. Or they can speak to you in writing. Oh yeah. How many of you have heard people say, I saw some writing, some invisible writing. I didn't see a hand, but somebody wrote a word to me. They can do that stuff. The jinn can play with you like that. If you're weak in your faith, you're not practicing your religion, you are not strong in your iman, oh, they can do all kind of things. When you hear people saying these things happen to them, these things are true. They can do more than that. They can even pick you up and carry you through the air. You may have heard people say, I was picked up. Something picked me up and brought me from one side of town to the other. They can take you from one place to another. Oh, the jinn can do that, because remember, the jinn can fly. And they have done that. But they can only do this to people who do not believe in Allah or sinful Muslims. How many of you know Muslims that do drugs, Muslims who drink, Muslims who fornicate, who adulterate, and they'll tell you these things happen to them, and you say, oh, he was drunk, he's just high. No, it may have happened. Yeah, he could have been drunk, he could have been high, but it could have happened to him too, because the jinn will do all kind of things to you. You know, if you're an evil, sinful person, okay, if you're caught up in that type of lifestyle, if you're an evil person, the jinn will do all kind of things to you. Okay? In reality, they are the most misguided and corrupt people that these things happen to. Every now and then, it may happen to a righteous person, but most of the time, it's to a misguided, corrupt person. And we have many, many incidents of this happening throughout the history of mankind. Okay? So it's true. It happens. And let's talk about some of these instances today. There's a lot of people who contract out with the jinn and are served by the devils to get close to them by doing sinful things. These are people who believe that they were given special powers. For example, the fortune tellers, the psychic people, these people that make their living telling the future, these psychics, they think that they have a special gift given to them by Allah. But in reality, this is a contract with their jinn. The famous women on TV, those famous psychics to the stars, those famous people who are psychic with the animals and can feel and read an animal. These people think it's coming from Allah, but it's coming from Shaitan. Okay? And it's always happened. Even in the time of the companions, this happened. Even with Ibn Taymiyyah. And Ibn Taymiyyah has written a whole treatise on this. He says that many of the people who think that they are given a gift by Allah, this gift of being able to predict what's happening, they think it comes from Allah. It's coming from Iblis. And many of these people will write the name of Allah in impure substances, like they'll write the letters of the Quran, including the Fatiha, the Ikhlas, and they'll write it in blood. They'll write it in blood, or they'll write it in urine, and they'll make other statements that are pleasing to Shaitan, but they think that it's pleasing to Allah. And I've witnessed stuff like this too with some of my clients. You know, my clients that were Muslim, who were possessed by their jinn, they would do the same thing. They would write Allah's name in feces. They would write surahs of the Quran in their urine and feces, and then they would jump up and down and laugh about it and eat it. I mean, I would sit there and trip out. Me and my other Muslim co-workers, we would trip out. They say, Laila, you don't want to come in and work today and see this filthy stuff. I'd come in for third shift, and Lord have mercy. You know, my Muslim clients, when their jinn would have control over them, they'd be done written the Fatiha, the class, you know, in feces. And then when I come in, they sit there and look at me and be sitting on all fours eating, and they start eating it. They eat the paper with the feces on it, and then they know it would make me just sick. Okay. So this is true. Ibn Taymiyyah would see it in blood. I'd see it in feces. Oh, at my job, me and my Muslim co-workers would be like, oh my God. And I'm sure many of you who work in the field that I retired from, you see this type of stuff too. So, you know, so this happens. But subhanAllah, this is how, you know, your personal jinn will dupe you into thinking that you're doing something that's pleasing to Allah, when in reality you're serving nothing but Iblis. And a lot of people, you know, see these invisible men or invisible women, because I've had clients hear women speaking to them, and they would think that it's Aisha radiallahu anha talking to them, or Salama talking to them. That's why I say, this is my view, that I really believe that women, every woman has a female jinn assigned to her, because my female clients would always tell me that they heard women talking to them. And my Muslim clients would always tell me that it was Khadija radiallahu anha. Oh, Khadija came to me and talked to me. Oh, Aisha radiallahu anha came to me. Oh, Mary, the mother Maryam came to me. Oh, Asiya came to me. It was always a woman's voice they heard. Okay, so I really believe that women have female jinns assigned to them, and men have male jinns assigned to them. And they never could see them, but it was always female voices that my female clients heard. Okay, they would sometimes hear men too when they were possessed by more than one jinn. But if it was just their personal jinn, my female clients always heard female voices. Okay, but if their jinn had friends over to play with them, then that's when they'd hear male and female. Okay, so when you hear people saying that they hear voices and they didn't see the people, that's true. The invisible men, and these people talk to them. That's their personal jinn. Okay, and your personal jinn can invite other jinn to come join them. Oh yeah, they can have a party. Oh yeah, the evil jinn that walk the earth, your personal jinn can call those evil jinn over. If the environment, that's why you have to keep your home clean. If your home is filled with music, marijuana, arguing, cursing, filth, sex, haram things, your personal jinn can invite other jinn into your house, and you got a party going on. Okay, and then your personal jinn can perform miracles for you that make you believe that you got allies or alliances with Allah. Okay, that you're close to Allah. All right, so this is why it's important, guys, for your environment to be faith-filled. You have to cleanse your home of haramity. I don't care if it's your children. You can't have your sons selling drugs out your house, sisters. You can't support that. You can't have your kids blasting that filthy, nasty rap music in your house. because that filthy, nasty rap music attracts the jinn. It runs the angels of mercy away. And when the angels of mercy leave, that's when the evil jinn take root. Your jinn calls out and invites others. Okay? All right, so we have to be careful of that. Also, the invisible men. These are the jinn that come to you and talk to you and contract out with you. You hear their voices, but you don't see them. The people of knowledge are divided into three groups about this. You have the one group that denies the existence of the invisible men, and they deny it, but there are many, many people who have witnessed them. Like I say, I've witnessed people who witnessed them, okay? They confirm, trustworthy people have confirmed that they have heard people talking to them. They've heard the voices. Many of you know people who have heard voices but have not seen anyone. You've heard people talking. They've heard people talking to them, but they've not seen anyone. That's your jinn, okay? And they end up submitting to those voices, listening to those voices. Then you got the second group that admits that the invisible people exist, but they accept it as the will of Allah. They believe that there's a hidden path to Allah, and there's paths to Allah other than the path of the prophets. They believe that these voices, you know, are voices that can take them to Allah. There are other ways to get close to Allah, that you can listen to these voices, and these voices can take you to Allah. Astaghfirullah. Okay? And then you have the third group that rules out the existence of patrons of Allah outside of what our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us. But they believe that both groups do receive help from Allah. You know, these people glorify the Prophet, but they're ignorant of his religion and his laws. Astaghfirullah, you know. And both of these groups are wrong, of course. All right. We don't submit to the jinn. We don't worship the jinn. We don't talk to the jinn. The jinn are not our protectors. The jinn are not our friends. As we already know, the friends of the believers are the angels of mercy. They are our helpers. They are our protectors. The good jinn out there, like I told you, they don't come near us, because the desire to harm us is too great, okay? The good jinn, they cannot be around us even if they wanted to, because the urge to hurt us is too great. If you're hearing voices and those are jinn around you, they're evil and they're going to hurt you, all right? So we don't respond to those voices. You say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and seek refuge in Allah from that. Does everybody understand that? All right? If Allah wants to send help to you, he's going to send it through an angel. The angels are the soldiers of Allah, not the jinn. The jinn are not the soldiers of Allah. The angels are the soldiers of Allah. The angels are the helpers of Allah, not the jinn. All right. So you have to remember that. If a person is hearing voices and all like that, take them to the doctor to see if there's medication that he can be put on. Okay. Because that's a sign that something's wrong with the person, or the person's weak in their iman. The person needs to get their belief in Allah together, because that person is making himself or herself an open target to their personal jinn. That's a sign that your faith is weakening. Okay? You want to be strong in your iman to not make yourself a victim to your jinn. You better put that jinn in check. Say, A'udhu billahi, get in your corner, jinn. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about seances, because this is the question that many of you guys ask me about. Seances. Many people consider that seances, may be trickery. That when people hold seances, that it's not real. Well, the truth of the seances is this: when seances are held by the psychic, the one thing that is real is this: the psychic does have help. The psychic has help from the jinn. So that part is real. So if you know a person that is psychic and holds seances, you want to stay away from that person, because a person that engages in seances, this is a person that has contracted out with the jinn. This is a person that has contracted himself or herself with Iblis. And the contract they have is, we will work together. I will provide a service to you, and you will provide a service to me. I will worship you, Iblis. I will make you my seat of worship. And in return, you and your allies will provide me with knowledge of the unseen, so that in turn I can make a living. That's the contract that the psychic person has with Iblis. So what happens is, when a person goes to a psychic for a seance, their personal jinn, the psychic's personal jinn, communicates with whatever jinn the individual has that comes to see them. And that person's individual jinn tells the psychic's jinn whatever the psychic needs to know about that person. And that's how the psychic learns about you, your childhood, your past, and all of that. All right? Also, before you come to even visit that person, say you invite the psychic to your house. You have a haunted house, and you want to know, why is it that certain parts of the house are haunted? The psychic is going to come to look at the house. When he comes, jinn come with him, because he has the contract with Iblis. He has his personal jinn with him, and Iblis will send his attachment of jinn with him. And as that psychic person is reviewing your house, your personal jinn is communicating with the jinn that accompany, and they're telling your personal jinn which parts of the house are haunted by other jinn that live there or used to live there. Also, the jinn that accompany are communicating and telling your personal jinn who lived there, who was killed there, who died there, whatever information that they're finding out from the jinn that used to live there about that house. And in turn, your personal jinn, the psychic's personal jinn, is whispering it to the psychic. So that's how the psychic is able to tell you what happened in that house, who died there, which parts of the house is haunted, and all of that. So the psychic is getting his information from his jinn, who's getting it from the jinn who Iblis has sent to accompany him. That's the contract. So psychic people contract with Iblis to get their money, to get their information. Okay? And Iblis will eventually leave them hanging. He gives them what they need for a minute to make them rich. And eventually he's going to stop giving them information. Eventually these people end up losing everything. After a few years of fame, they end up disappearing because Iblis will leave them hanging eventually. He'll get sick of them. Okay? The same with these veterinarians, these psychic veterinarians. They got the same contract. They put their hand on the animal and their personal jinn is able to communicate with the animal and find out what's wrong with the animal, why the animal is sick, what happened to the animal, that the animal's stomach hurt, that the animal got a broken leg. The jinn can taste the animal's dung. Remember, jinn eat the urine and dung of animals. But so everything that psychic veterinarian learns about the animal, he's learning it from his personal jinn, who's able to communicate with the animal, to taste the animal's dung, and to communicate with the jinn who run behind that animal and eat its dung, and who know about that animal. So everything is through the jinn, and in turn the jinn tells that psychic person. But we have to remember, guys, one thing about the jinn will mix truth with lies. They'll tell you some things that are true, and they'll mix lies with it too. So not everything that they're communicating to the psychic is true. Some of the things are true, but a lot of the things they're saying is not true, because the jinn, the evil jinn, are tricksters. They're tricksters and they're liars. Okay? Now, what about this? A lot of people will say, but Sister Laila, what about this? When you have a seance or you go to a psychic person, they say that they're bringing back spirits of the dead. Aren't these really dead people who are righteous people? Well, no. Remember, the jinn can take on the appearance of dead people. That's why when you go for a psychic, they say, let me see a picture. They always say, let me see a picture. And then if a spirit does reveal itself, that's a jinn. Because remember, jinn can take on the appearance of a ghost, but the jinn has to see the picture of the dead person, and then they can take on the appearance. Allah tells us that once a person dies, a person cannot come back from the dead, but the jinn can take on the appearance of a dead person. That's why we don't hang up pictures in our houses and put them on display. Okay? Allah says in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, if they ask you about the soul, tell them the soul is by the command of Allah, and that knowledge, is only with Him. Okay? Once a person dies, they don't come back. As Allah says in the Quran, Allah receives the soul at the time of death, and that soul which dies, not in his sleep, He keeps the soul for which He has ordained death, and He doesn't bring it back. So that's not a person from the dead coming back to you. That's the jinn taking on the appearance of the dead person. That's why the psychic always has to see a picture of the dead so that jinn can replicate it. Okay? So no, that's not the soul coming back from the dead. That's the jinn reappearing as a ghost in the form of the deceased. And then you have some psychics who would tell you, well, this person is a righteous martyr, a righteous person that's come back. Well, Allah tells us that the souls of the martyrs, the souls of the righteous, the souls of the believers and the prophets are in the form of green birds flying around the throne of Allah. And they will never come back to this world. So no, again, those are the jinns that can take on the appearance of those things. All right. So again, everything is through trickery. Iblis is a trickster. The evil jinn are tricksters. Okay. And how do they know the deeds of the dead? Again, your personal jinn communicates with the jinn of the person who is asking the questions to the psychic. And that person's jinn tells them, oh, when she was a child, she did this. You know, her mother just died. Her father was a bad man. Her sister killed herself. Oh, and they never got over the death of their dog when they were 2. So that's how that knowledge is transferred to the psychic. So seances are real. The information that they get is real. They get it from the jinn, but they mix lies with the truth. This is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to stay away from these people. These people are unbelievers. Anyone that practices magic, anyone that deals in psychic, anyone that deals in astrology, numerology, psychic reading, these people are unbelievers. Even if they call themselves Muslims, even if they pray every day, they're considered kafir. And we're not supposed to be in their company, in their presence. We don't deal with them. We stay away from these people. Do y'all understand that? Because you don't want to have those jinns coming after you. If you're stupid enough to go seeking knowledge from them, information from them, your prayers, if you're doing it for fun, your prayers are not going to be accepted for 40 days and 40 nights. And that shows you're weak, and you're going to invite your personal jinn to call friends over to play with you, because he'll see how weak you are. That's just going to open the door to your personal jinn playing with you.